Okay. Do you think the movies put pressure on people to act certain ways in real life? Like, for example, girl sees a romantic comedy and sees a guy propose to her, and she thinks that that's how it has to be, or, for a guy, they have to act a certain way around people.
I would say in a superficial sense, yes, but in a meaningful sense, no. And let me explain what I mean by that. In movies, just like within magazine articles and photo shoots and everything else, you get an idealized version of a character. Like in a romantic comedy, the male lead is going to look like, the archetypal male lead. He's going to be in relatively good shape. He's going to be of good humor. He's going to make mistakes like everybody else, but he's, at the end of the day, not going to be that bad of a person. And if an average run-of-the-mill guy watches a movie like that, I don't think he's going to necessarily be compelled to change his attitude or change his behavior, but he might be compelled to maybe dress a bit differently depending on how that character is perceived. Like if a lot of women like that character in the movie, they might want to maybe work out a bit more and look a little bit more like that person. But like in a meaningful sense, though, I don't see it changing anybody's outlook anymore with men or women.
Okay. All right. Do movies make you feel like that you have to have something to validate your life, like a career or relationship, certain friends, money, stuff like that?
No, I'm going to say no. At times, I'm envious of certain characters in movies, like maybe Tony Stark in the Iron Man franchise, but movies themselves, I'm going to say no.
Okay, I want to know what would you be jealous or envious of Tony Stark in the Iron Man movies?
It kind of goes back to what I said earlier about identifying yourself with certain characters. Like Tony Stark is a great example here because in personality, I see a lot of myself in Tony Stark.
I can agree with that.
I see a lot of attitude and a lot of smartass. And then when I see a guy like Tony Stark, I see, okay, this is what, at least to a degree, this is what I could be if I did things differently, because I see a lot of character overlap.
And get Gwyneth Paltrow in the end.
Eh.
Oh yeah, by the way, Avengers, I have Thor in my closet.
I see that.
Sorry. Okay. What qualities in the older movie would you have liked to see or not have seen in the newer movie?
I guess a specific quality is one that I've talked about already, which is their over-reliance on puns and on plays on word, or play on words, I don't know how you say that plurally.
Play on words.
Anyway, just that typical slapstick 50s humor. It worked fantastically for the time period, and what makes it enjoyable now is that you can enjoy it in that nostalgic way. Like, in that this is the way people used to make jokes 50 years ago. I wouldn't want to see that in a movie made now because I would think it cheesy. Like, I can forgive it in the classic movie because that was funny for its time, but I would like to see something in a modern film that is funny in a modern sense, so that makes any sense.
Okay. If you could change anything, and I mean anything, about movies today, what would it be?
I would say I'm not at all qualified to change things about movies. And I say that because out of all the filmmakers that I appreciate, like Tim Burton or Christopher Nolan or Joss Whedon, I say they are much more artistic than I am and creative than I am in making these films. So I wouldn't change a thing about it. I would just sit back and wait for them to come out.
Okay. How has the social aspect of movie-going changed?
I would say it's changed a bit. I'd say about 10, 15, 20 years ago, it was pretty regular practice for, friends to get together and doing it so they can go see a movie. It's a means of them to get together, get some popcorn, talk about what they saw later, But I would say within the beginning of the 21st century, that's seen a sharp decline. People still go to movies, but it's not just to go to the movies, just to go with your friends or things like that. It's always for specific films, like a new Batman or a Twilight or Harry Potter or something like that. But people don't go to the movies just so they can go to the movies anymore.
You are the first person to say the exact opposite of what everyone else has said on that particular question.
Cool.
Okay, how has the social norm of watching a movie, like literally sitting in the movie theater, changed?
What do you mean by that specifically?
How has it changed from it being a big social, like a social event, going there, sitting in the movie theater, or is it just more laid back now? Is there a lot more stuff going on in the movie theater that shouldn't be going on?
I would say it's definitely not as big of a social deal to go to movies anymore. It's really just a place you go to see a new movie that's come out. I would say in prior times it was looked at as, a bigger deal, like it was the place to be. The new movie came out, everyone's got to be there, everyone's got to be together, it's got to be this big thing we all do together. But now it's just, the movie comes out, I want to see it, I go, I'm done, I go home. It's kind of like getting coffee at Starbucks. You really wanted to get some, so you went, you got it, and now you're home.
Okay. To you, in recent years, have movie plots changed, or do you feel like you're watching the same movie over and over again, but with different actors?
I would say the latter, but with the qualification. I believe the same themes are repeated over and over again, but they're always incarnated in their own time period. Like, you can look at a movie like Guys and Dolls in the mid-50s, and you can see how one of the main themes running in it is how a man does not want to change for his girl, but the girl is constantly pushing for that to happen. And Nathan Detroit is constantly wanting to run his scrap game. That's what he's about. This is his life, and he's always lying to his fiancée, saying, "I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna stop. It's not gonna happen anymore. I'm gonna stop." And she wants it more than anything. And you can contrast that with a 2005 movie like The Breakup, where Jennifer Aniston wants her fiancé character to just stop being a boy, to grow up, get a big boy job, to finally propose to her, to pay attention to her and appreciate her, to basically just grow up and be a man. And he said, "Yeah, I'll do it." He either says, "I'll do it," or "I don't know why you're always picking at me." But that theme of a girl choosing to be with a guy and then pushing for a guy to change the way he acts and behaves. Things like that, I think, get repeated over and over and over again in different movies with different actors, but I don't think we get bored with them because they are always timely issues. Like, those issues never stop being relevant.
Okay. How have movies affected teenage society of today?
The same way they affected teenage society for the last several decades. If you're under the age of 18 and the only real social interaction you get outside of school is going to the movies, then that's what the real world is to you. Whatever you see on television and in movies is what is really happening outside of your home walls or your school walls or maybe your church walls. So when you see what couples do in movies or what cities do or anything like that, that's going to color the way you view the world until you're actually out in the world.
Okay. Has the golden age of Hollywood died?
Yeah, it died a long time ago. And the carcass is still rotting. Like, I don't see any golden age returning either. But
okay,
yeah,
this one I'm really interested in hearing your opinion about. How has femininity changed in movies from back then to movies to today?
Femininity, like what it means to be a real woman, that sort of thing.
Yeah, how they're portrayed in movies, basically, is what I'm trying to get at.
Okay. It's changed a lot, and at the same time, it's not changed that much. And I guess to further explain that, in one sense that it hasn't changed is a woman's need for companionship. To really truly be a fulfilled woman, you need that sort of lasting and enduring relationship. Like, you see that at the beginning of film culture, and you see that in films today. The only difference is in modern films, it's not as explicit. In 50s and 40s movies, they would just come out and say, "I need a husband, I need to get married, I need this, I need this." But in modern films, they won't say that. And in fact, they'll say the opposite. They'll come out and scream, "I don't need a man. I don't need to be in a relationship to be happy." But even still, later in the film, you see them being truly happy and feeling like a real woman when they're either with a man in a romantic relationship or just with a man sexually. They can't get around that needing to be with somebody of the opposite sex. So I guess it's changed in its portrayal, but it's not changed in its substance, if that makes any sense.
How has masculinity changed in movies?
A lot. In like the golden age of Hollywood, it was totally appropriate and acceptable for a man to sing and to dance and to like that was sexy in the 50s and the 40s for a man to be a singer and a tap dancer and to know how to dance with a girl. Whereas in modern culture, that is almost exclusively associated with homosexual men. Like, if you're a man in 21st century America who likes to sing and likes to dance and likes to go to the theater, then the immediate stereotype that sticks on you is gay. Like, masculinity now is really more about sports. It's about physically being a strong person. So in that sense it's changed, but in another sense it stayed the same because even with those singing, dancing men in the 50s, they were still morally strong people. They were people of integrity and of loyalty who would do anything they could to help their girl. And for them, that was being a man, to stand by their lady and do whatever they can to protect them. That's not died. That has stayed even in the modern era. There are differences, obviously, because in modern movies, you know, guys are a bit more flimsy and they make mistakes a lot more often, but the core of, I need to do what I can to either get my girl back or protect her from danger, that's still there.
I'm so glad I didn't have to spoon feed you that answer. People had to ask me, can you tell me what you mean by that? And I'm like,
well,
I can't without saying the thing I wanted to say. Okay,